And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey folks, today we're taking a look at a game from Giochi. This is a cooperative deduction game called Three Secrets. It is very similar to another game that came out from Z-Man called Dark Stories. Maybe you've played this as a parlor game before, where I'll say, a man was found dead next to a goldfish. What happened? And people ask me yes or no questions until someone figures out the story. Well, this is a very similar thing, except here you're going to have a picture that you're going to be looking at, and you need to figure out what's going on in the picture. Someone in that picture is likely a criminal, and why. Here's how it plays. In Three Secrets, you're going to be using one card at a time. And seeing these cards is not going to spoil it. If I showed you the back of it, it would spoil it. The colors on the card shows you how difficult that card is to figure out. So green is the easiest. So we're going to look at this one, and we're actually going to spoil this one a little bit here. So this card is going to be placed on the table. And then you can use an app. You don't have to, but I highly recommend using an app. One person's going to be reading the back of the card. So this person's name is Helen here. So let's see if we can focus in on that. It says Helen. So we're going to find Helen on this app here, and it shows which ones I've finished already. So there's the picture for Helen. And in fact, then you have 5 minutes. So you started off, but you don't have 5 minutes. You actually have 15 minutes. But you have 5 minutes to figure out what is going on in this picture. There are three main clues. There are three things that are colored in green. So you can ask any questions you want. They're yes and no questions. I'm saying, so did she steal that necklace? And the answer would, in this case, would be no, but maybe. You got to be careful. So you're asking stuff all the time. You got to ask her things. You're asking questions, and eventually you might say, wait a minute, is she robbing the patients? It looks like she's stealing something from the patient. And I'd be like, yes, you got it. And that's 1 star, and it would go to the next 5 minutes. Sometimes you need a clue. You can give a clue to each one, and you press the clue thing here, and you give out the clue. So, for example, I would say she left her husband. She robs her patients. Because what you're doing is you are trying to figure out exactly what's coming on here. She's a nurse. At night she steals belongings to pay her gambling debts because she's a gambler. So all this stuff has to come true. She has a good luck amulet, and that shows that she's a gambler. And this man bothers her every day, and so she left her husband. So you're supposed to get all that from asking yes and no questions. You need to do it within 5 minutes or not. When you ask for the clue, your time is cut in half. So if you do it right away, you're down to 2 minutes and 30 seconds. If you wait till longer, you'll have less time. And once you're finished, you get all three. It will say game over. It will tell you what your score is, how many stars, how many of the three things you got correctly. It's a cooperative game, and that's pretty much how it plays. First of all, you really need the app for this, I think. I mean, the app, it's mostly because of that. When you pick a clue, when you give a clue, your time gets cut in half. And if you're playing in person, you're like, okay, you have 3 minutes and 27 seconds left. Oh, that's cut in half. That's a minute and a half plus 13 seconds. It doesn't work as well. The app's free, so you might as well use it. This is the kind of game that I'm really fascinated with. The man was found dead next to a goldfish. What happened? And people are asking questions. It works really well for card trips as you're going back and forth, and everyone's asking questions. And you can run into some problems with ambiguous questions occasionally, but it works fairly well. The problem is with Three Secrets is it's not just the audio. There's an actual looking at the picture. So the card trip or sitting around a dinner table doesn't work as well. Here you have the picture to look at. And what I found with these cases is they were really ambiguous. Like sometimes you're like, how were we supposed to know this from that picture? I have no idea how we were supposed to come to that conclusion. We would just have to start asking really weird questions. And so many times you ask questions and basically the answer is, I don't know. Now that's always been a thing about these games. Like the one that I showed you, I might say, does she have a doctorate degree? I don't know. Does she like to eat cookies? I don't know. Does that matter here? Is that guy coming down the hallway? Is that her uncle? I don't think so. I'm not really sure what's going on other than the short text that they give you. The text is pretty short. And the clues that you give sometimes don't really help that much. And then what are you supposed to say exactly about each clue? It's just a little fuzzy the way the whole game works. The art is fine. The colors are neat. It like brings your eyes. The color system that some are harder than others. But I just found this more of an exercise in frustration because you're never really sure what to ask. And unlike the other stories, like Dark Stories, and I keep comparing it to that, but Dark Stories, again, I felt like those were much more straightforward, still had some unique, weird twists in them, and sometimes those can be frustrating until you find the right thing. But I found that every single one of these that I played was frustrating to some degree as you tried to get to that point and tried to figure out what it was, and as a clue giver, you're kind of like, oh, come on, it's so obvious, but it's not, right? It's not obvious. It's not even obvious to the clue giver. Sometimes I'm like, I have no idea what questions they should even ask to get to this point. So it's a fun concept, but I don't think Three Secrets really works in that regard. You may enjoy it. I mean, there are some people I think will have a lot of fun with it, but I'm not one of them. Dice Tower Judgment, just too ambiguous.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.
Shut the door.